So the slug pellet ban is going to start from spring in 2020 in the UK, and if you're worried about what you can do about slugs and snails in your garden, keep watching. Look at what options you have to get rid of slugs and snails. Now, there's the not so easy way, which is coming into the garden in the night with your torch, lifting up the leaves and stones and whatever and trying to find them, picking them out and doing away with them yourself. Now, I've got 2 allotments and a garden. Believe me, I am not spending half the night trying to pick up slugs. They are gross. I don't want to touch them. No. So yeah, no, I'm not doing that. If you want to do that, completely fine. No chemicals. It just takes a lot of time. Your time. Time is valuable. Do not want to use it picking up slugs in the dark. So yeah, the next thing you can do is beer traps. Beer. Wasting beer on slugs. Cheap beer, maybe. But why waste? And plus you've got the gross side effect of you have to pick up those dead slugs and get rid of them, and they stink bad. So yeah, you get slimed on, they stink. But if that works for you, you do it. You build yourself a little, or is it? Because you've got to refill the slug trap, haven't you? Every time it rains. It rains a lot. I'm in the UK, it rains a lot. I'm in Wales, it rains a lot. So yeah, I don't want to be wasting that much beer and giving it to the slugs. No, not for me. Plus, you'd have to maybe create something to go over the top to make it like a, I don't know, pool bar for slugs. If you want to do that, that's fine. I'm sure you can buy things with stuff over it, so you can put, I don't know. But yeah, no, stinky, slimy, half-dead slugs, no. Where'd you put them? In the compost bin? No. Not doing it. But that's me. If it works for you and you like doing that and you can waste that precious beer, then fair play, go ahead, do it. Let me think of the other things. Copper. Never found it work, doesn't work. It's always tiny little bands you can buy. No, doesn't work for me. Pennies, no. Eggshells. Tried it. No, they still ate everything. Yeah, they like it. I think I watched a YouTube video before where they did a lot of different things and they will literally cross copper. What is it? They won't cross salt, but literally that dissolves and you don't want salt in the soil. No, don't use salt. So yeah, they did a little ring around, I don't know, cabbage or lettuce, something slugs love. And yeah, the slugs crossed it every time. They didn't have salt, but that's just mean. Why would you do that? Anyway, yeah, so no, won't be using copper, won't be using eggshells. I have used last year Diatomaceous earth, food grade. It's like a white powder made of fossils and sea life fossils, and yeah, that worked. Only problem is with a powder, it washes away. As soon as it gets wet, it's useless. And again, it rains a lot. Yes. So last year was fine. In the summer, I tell you what, I barely put down anything to stop the slugs, because they were just trying to stay out of the heat. They were hiding somewhere, eating dirt. I don't know what they eat, my plants. But yeah, no, not doing it. So yeah, none of those natural things seem to work for me. If it works for you and eggshells stop them, great. Didn't work for me. They still ate them. They were hungry. And a hungry slug will pretty much cross anything. And apparently snails eat the eggshells and get a stronger shell. Why? Why would you do that? Beefy snails. Step on them and you crack. Yeah, no, not bothering with that. Didn't work. Doesn't work for me. If it works for you though, that's fine. Carry on doing what you're doing. This is what I'm going to be doing. So the other thing is putting boards down on the ground and lifting them up and getting the slugs from underneath it, because they hide there. It's cool, damp. Another thing is to only water around your plant, because you don't want to give them wet soil, because it's easier for them to move across it. So just water your plant. Yeah, I'll be doing that. I am, yeah. Keeping it weed and decaying matter free. Yeah, I'll try and do that. Easier said than done. Again, big allotments. You try and weed as best you can. You try and get all the dead bits out. You don't always have the time, and if you work full time, then you don't have the time. You spend your life weeding and picking bits up, and yeah, I try to do that. I really do. I just don't always have the time. So I will do my best, but can't always manage it. I'm going to show you now what I have used and I'm going to continue to use, because although slug pellets are banned, it's only the one type of slug pellet. So that is the Metaldehyde or something in the slug pellet. So the really cheap ones that you buy, the very dark blue, they're toxic. They're toxic to us. Although you have to have a lot of them, they are toxic to humans. They're toxic to wildlife, whether they eat them or they eat the slug after it's eaten the pellet. So it is toxic to birds, frogs. That's another thing. If you want to get a pond, the best slug killer is frogs. I love it. But I find I get a lot of frogs on the allotment. They like jump around places, hide in the polytunnel, but yeah, they're never hungry enough to eat them all. How do you keep frogs hungry so that they'll eat all your slugs? I haven't seen any hedgehogs, but I would like to encourage them into the allotment, so I'm going to build them a little hedgehog house. They eat slugs, and last time I seen one in my garden, they ate my blueberries as well. So they're like fruit. I had little blueberry babies, and they produced a couple of berries, you know. And yeah, I went out the one day thinking there was a rat out there, seen a hedgehog eating the blueberries. Cheeky. But I didn't mind sharing with the hedgehog. Eventually those blueberries are going to get too big for him to reach. So yeah, the hedgehogs and frogs way is brilliant. Let nature help out. Birds, they'll do it. Hedgehogs, but they never manage to do enough to stop them eating my cabbages or lettuce that I plant outside. I just like to work with nature as much as possible, but I also need something else. Something for the greenhouse, something for the polytunnel, something for those tiny little babies plants that you put out and the slugs always find. Obviously you don't put the plants out yet, it's far too early, But yeah, the birds never seem to get them. So I don't want to harm a bird. I would feel guilty. I don't want to harm a hedgehog that eats them. They're already in decline. The numbers are terrible. Frogs, I would feel awful if they ate a pellet that I put down. So I don't use them. I did at first because I didn't know, but I do not use them anymore. As soon as I found out, I stopped using them. I'm going to show you what I do use. So this is what I do use. It's called Sluggo, slug and snail killer, and it is still a pesticide, so you still have to be careful. But this contains ferric phosphate instead of that Metaldehyde that was in the others. And there's still safety information on here that you need to read, and you should always wash your hands after use, because this ferric phosphate is like iron, so a lot of iron kills the slug and snail. Now you don't need to use a lot of these, and yeah, that's the correct usage. So you need to scatter them so they don't dissolve when they get wet. They swell up, and they can swell up a few times before they disintegrate, and the slugs and snails actually prefer them when they're a bit soggy. So yeah, you don't have to reapply pellets every time it rains like the ones that are being banned. So that's my extra protection for my crops. Now you might be thinking, oh well, I don't really want to use pellets. That's fine, don't. I'm just using those in the greenhouse for small plants. When the plants are bigger, then they won't need as much protection, and they should be able to fight off any slug invasions. But when they're small, they do need that extra protection, and that Sluggo is not toxic. They are still a pesticide, so please make sure you follow these safety instructions. They're not completely natural, and what will happen to the slug is they will eat the pellets however they eat them. I don't know. Do they have teeth? Do slugs have teeth? I don't know. You must have teeth because they bite things, or do they just sort of absorb them? I don't know. I'm not really a slug expert. I'm just telling you what I use. So yes, I will be using those. If a bird eats the slug or the pellet, it will be fine. Same with frogs and hedgehogs. So I prefer that. The slug will eat the pellet, bury itself underground and stop eating, and pass away underneath the soil, and I don't have to see it. That sounds a bit cruel, and as a person who likes to do the least harm to anything, including the planet, other animals, people, whatever, I feel cruel doing it, but I don't prolong the use of these pellets. So as soon as a crop is big enough to fend for itself, I do not use them. I mean, last year it was so hot and sunny, the slugs didn't come out, so I didn't have to use any. I just left everything out. It was fine. I might have lost a couple of leaves of a lettuce, but it was nothing. So yeah, I wouldn't chuck pellets down willy-nilly. If I were you, I would use them as and when needed. You can afford to lose a couple of leaves on the outside when it's sunny, but obviously if it's raining like now, they're going to be having a good time eating everything. So feel free to use some for your small plants. but just be sensible. They're expensive. I think they're $6.99 a box. I'm not going to use them when I don't need them, but I don't want to harm anything either. I feel bad enough harming the slug. If it would just share, it would be fine. But yeah, they don't share. They're a bit mean, and they're all my rocket. Yeah, so those are the slug pellets that I'll be using now and after the ban. The ban will start from 2020 in the spring, and you will not be allowed to use them, and the sales of the slug pellets they will stop this summer in 2019, so the shops will stop selling them, and next year in the spring you should stop using them. But I would just say, just stop using them now. You don't need them. There are other things you can use. You can use nematodes, which are very expensive, but if that's what you want to use, that's fine. Use those. If you want to try any of the other natural methods, brilliant, go for it. I've tried a lot of things which I found didn't work, and I want to make sure that I'm happy with what I'm doing to the environment, to the animals, and I'm happy with the slug pellets that I'll be using. And I just thought I'd let you all know about them, let you know about the other options, and you can try something that works for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.